Hello and welcome. My name is Doug Fink and I'm a Microsoft MVP, and in this short video I want to show you how AI learns to program PowerShell. So I've got Visual Studio Code here and I've got GitHub Copilot installed, which is your AI pair programmer. So let's take a look. So first up, what I want to do is create a comment, and I want to just do some general programming of some functions, some mathematical functions, some simple things. So type in function to add two numbers. Now you can see that numbers is grayed out, and that is Copilot suggesting that. So it already knows what I'm guessing what I'm trying to type. So I'm going to hit tab to accept that. And now let's try and do some code. So GitHub Copilot offers up a suggestion. I'm going to tab on that to accept it. Now that's a Python syntax for creating a function, naming the function add, and that we would pass in two variables x and y. So let's change that to be PowerShell syntax. Function, I'm going to use a verb-noun syntax. We're going to do an invoke add in this example, and we'll get rid of this. We'll use the curly brace, and we'll do a param. And Copilot comes up and says, okay, I suggest that we use $A and $B as param names. I'll take that. Press enter. And Copilot correctly shows how to add those two variables. And that's also, let's try it again. That also, let's take that for a moment, returns the value after you do the addition. Press enter, and yes, I'll take the suggestion from Copilot to close off the function block. Let's go and do a few more functions in the mathematical concepts. Function, let's take to subtract two numbers. Copilot again suggested. I hit tab to accept the suggestion, and off the bat, I'll accept that. Copilot correctly uses the syntax of function, and it uses the verb noun that I used before, so it's using that context to figure out what I want. And it correctly puts in the param block, and it correctly subtracts the variables and returns that value. And we can close it off again. So I haven't even typed any code really, except to give it the first context, the context in the first example of the invoke add. And now Copilot's actually, from this, understanding like what kind of functions I'm trying to build and how to create the syntax to name it, as well as do the operation. We'll do a few more. Yeah, let's multiply some numbers. Invoke multiply looks good, and notice the casing is correct as well. Takes the param A and B again. What does it do with the variables? We'll multiply them, that's great. So I'm just typing a pound and letting Copilot do the suggestions. I'm accepting the suggestions with a tab. Let's do a division. Param. That's great. Yeah, let's do some remainders. See if it knows how to do a remainder process. What the syntax is for that in PowerShell. And it names it correctly. Invoke modulo. A and B for parameters. And it uses the percent sign, which is the correct way to get the remainder. And we're done. Now, what I want to do is, I don't want to get the power of two numbers, but that's pretty interesting because we'd have to step inside the C# framework to do that. That's one way to do it. But I want to print the results. And let's see what it does. So Copilot suggests it knows how to call just the invoke add function. It knows I'm not inside a function. It knows I'm not creating one, and it's going to pass the parameters, and it does it correctly. 1-2 instead of 1-2, as most languages do. And it even comes up and says, oh, that should be a 3. So it adds the comment for me. Pretty slick. Now what I want to do here is just change up the numbers a little bit. Let's do 4, 8. And GitHub Copilot almost, well, it does get it correct. Let's do a multiply, divide, and a modulo. And if we run this, looks pretty good to me. Let's kick it up one final notch. I'm going to print the results, but this time let's create a hash table with key value pairs. And the first one I want to do is say add. That's going to be the key, and the value is going to be the invoke add, and we'll do 5, 8. And notice GitHub Copilot now knows what I'm trying to do, that I'm actually adding key value pairs with the key on the left and an operation on the right. Looks good. Division, and it knows all the ones that I want to add. Great suggestions. And let's just convert this to a custom object so it prints out with an object with properties. We'll run that, and there you have it. So that's just the beginning. Now, GitHub Copilot is more tuned to work with things like Python and JavaScript. That's what it was trained on. But what's really one of the cool features, I think, is that it can actually learn from the context of what you're doing inside the script file or your documentation files. It learns from what you're building, what you want to do, and it makes those kind of suggestions, which is quite impressive and very helpful. And it's uncanny as to what it actually comes up with as suggestions. You can get GitHub Copilot by going to the GitHub Copilot page, and you can sign up for the preview, and when they're ready they will give you access to it. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.